What I would recommend if you are traveling, thank the people that are working. The one thing I said to everybody that I came into contact with is thank you so much for being here, because I wouldn't have been able to get where I needed to go if people like you weren't doing your job.
Welcome to Girls Gone Gritty.
I'm Farley Boyle.
I'm Darian Boyle.
And I'm Jennifer Berenius.
Collectively, we're two sister-in-laws with our bestie.
We don't just talk, we do it. Day, night, mountain, beach, and city.
Get ready as we bring gratitude and attitude to everything we do.
We jump in head first, unafraid, and we're all in all the time.
We bring it on and get it on each week, diving deep into authentic, unscripted conversations
on just about everything. So, let's get gritty.
Bring it on. Bring it on. Don't wait until tomorrow.
Hi, and welcome to Girls Gone Gritty. I am sitting next to my co-host, Jen Berenius, and we are reflecting back over the week where we had all kinds of gratitude and respect to the vets that gave their lives and served on our behalf for freedoms. And
it was a very heartfelt week. There's a lot going on in our country, as there always is, but we want to pause and appreciate those people that have served in the military, both past and present, and have situations that haunt them, with what they deal with every day. And that will bring us to our Got Grit person, which is a really incredible story. But before we get to that,
I would also like to honor my father, Bill Snow, who passed this week. And not only did he roll up his sleeves in every direction and give back in all forms, he was responsible for helping put men on the moon with the Apollo lunar space travel program. So hats off to my dad and for everybody else that has given any type of a contribution towards making America great.
He was an incredible human, and he gave us you. What a wonderful gift of this beautiful human being that sits next to me. I'm sharing this journey with her, and we always want to express gratitude for the people that serve, the people that are important in our lives, and rest in peace to Bill Snow, an incredible patriot and advocate for pushing intellect and abilities in the United States. Incredible.
I think a hard reality is when you lose a parent, you're never truly prepared. And unfortunately, when you hit your 50s, we're in that downward spiral and it stinks, and people don't talk about it enough. And we always mention advocating and being caretakers for our parents because we're in it. But when you lose both of them within 2 years' time and you're an only child, I feel like an old orphan. And it's just hard because you're losing the people that love you unconditionally, and you can't pick up the phone anymore. So make sure you honor those that are still with us, because at one point they're not going to be here anymore. Ask them questions, get answers. Even though I had an unbelievable relationship with them, talk to your parents and extract as much information about anything and everything. That's my biggest bit of advice.
That's an amazing piece of advice, because there are so many people that have such an incredible history that we know nothing about. And do it while they're here on the planet, so you can get the first person information. And you're going to have so much beautiful time they created for you in Florida. So I'm excited for you for that chapter to enjoy and be surrounded by your family, creating new memories in the light that your parents created for you.
Exactly.
So that is leading us to a top 3 that is always all over the map, because we want to keep you in the know about some of the headlines of today.
Number 3, faster than a cherry picker, more powerful than the French police, able to smolder throughout museums across Europe, it's Fedora Man.
If you've been following us or any of the stories about the Louvre Museum, and the comedy that continues to come out of this story is just so funny. From us covering it last time with the way that these criminals, who turned out to be adorable, which is terrible to
We don't
say.
even want to spotlight that they were attractive.
There's this 15-year-old young man who scooted across the AP, and they took his photo of just being a dapper, fedora wearing 3-piece suit.
He was attending the museum with his grandparents and decided to dress up to take in all of the sights, and was photographed and became a global sensation with all kinds of speculation linked to the crime.
And I think that's partially because he's not wearing athleisure wear. And we'll give you some photos of this, because he's dapper and he had nothing to do with the Louvre. But
And his inspiration was Sherlock Holmes. And I think he's just eclectic. You know, he was a little eccentric. People started talking about this kid, speculating what he was all about, who he is. Was he tied to the heist? And he decided to let the mystery boil by not coming forward and claiming his identity.
Yeah.
Because he liked the fact that it was mysterious, and eventually he did reveal who he was.
because he's a detective inspired human being. There we go.
Exactly.
Mystery surrounds.
We're going to share a photo of him, and we'll put a link to the story in our
Show notes.
Yeah. Okay. Number 2, don't peak at 65. Let 70 become the new 65.
We have the most baby boomers, 65-year-olds ever in time retiring, which is horrifying because we also have a Social Security program that doesn't want you to retire at 65. Would like you to push your benefits to 70.
This is your incentive. Some people are talking about collecting at 62 years old because they feel like the Social Security is going to be tapped out by 2033, according to all different speculations. So 62, you get 70%. At 70, you get 124% of your actual benefit. So 67 is when you get 100%. So each year that you push it back, you get more money paid to you.
They caps out at 70.
Yeah, it caps out. So if you can hold out to 70, you get 124% of your money.
Well, the good news is today people are living to the ripe old age of average 72 for men, and I think it's 75 for women. So theoretically, you're going to get your full retirement benefits. I remember arguing with my grandfather about how Social Security was not going to be able to be completely funded by the time my parents were at that age. And meanwhile, it has. So we're hopeful that this will continue to be a benefit. We don't have to worry about taking that retirement at 62 because you want all the money that you're due.
Exactly. And number 1, the black box warning for hormone replacement therapy has expired.
Hallelujah. I guess this warning was 22 years old. And it made a lot of women very scared to deal with things like hot flashes and night sweats and irritability and a lot of other medical issues.
Because they thought they were going to get cancer.
Correct.
You were afraid to do hormone replacement therapy because you thought it was cancer causing.
Yeah, feeding. You don't want to feed it with more hormones was the old mindedness. Now they're changing that. And of course, there's nothing better than talking to your doctor about what your exact needs are.
And taking in your history. Like my parents, my mother and my aunt both had breast cancer. So I was even more afraid to dabble in the HRT realm because I thought, I'm a recipe for disaster, but it's not true. That's an urban legend. It's a myth. In some cases, yes, maybe, but you should get educated on what your individual situation is before you just rule it out, because it really helps. So get educated.
Today, we're going to tackle travel
and the stupid, ridiculous government shutdown that is ongoing and affecting so many people, not just traveling. Just when you think there's an end in sight, it still takes more time.
Well, we're hoping that the backlog of this government shutdown does not impact the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday because things have a lag to them. The transportation issues that we have because of the TSA and the FAA and all of the backlog there also impact the trains and the automotive and rental cars. So it's not just, if I'm a flyer, this is going to be an issue for me. This creates other issues that ripple across the country for weeks. So we're going to tackle a few areas of TSA and flying that can improve your experience, as well as give you some tips and tools that can increase your knowledge base as you move forward as a traveler.
I will say, I just traveled. I got terrible news. I had to jump on a flight and I had to get somewhere ASAP, and I was able to without one delay. I also flew home 6 days later and I did not have a delay again. So don't be frightened by what you see and what you are reading. Yes, there are delays, there are cancellations, but I was able to get somewhere in dire straits very quickly and return after, a trip very easily. They're doing their best job. What I would recommend if you are traveling, thank the people that are working. The one thing I said to everybody that I came into contact with is thank you so much for being here, because I wouldn't have been able to get where I needed to go if people like you weren't doing your job. So thank you. So appreciate who's working. If you have the the moment, to give them thanks.
Yeah, that's a great point because, these are human beings that are dealing with their jobs and have no impact on what's decided. They're told to show up and are coming in and taking no pay with hopes that they're going to get paid quickly afterwards. But studies and the information that's shown in past, it take weeks for these people to get their full monies back. So they're under tremendous stress from the job that they do on a daily basis. And then add that financial stress and the holidays impending. It's a recipe for disaster.
Think about arms. Flat arms. Another thing that we would love to point out, some of the people that aren't coming to work, it's not because they're not getting paid. They're seeking jobs elsewhere. They're trying to put food on the table or have a stream of revenue come in the door because they can't survive. They live paycheck to paycheck. Some people get negative. These babies just don't show up. They want a free lunch. No, they can't afford to put lunch on their tables. And that's why they're not showing up, because they have to, scatter and try to figure out a way that they can still bring in some money to keep their households going.
It's incredible that they're still showing up for work. So again, kudos to you that are on the job.
Strangling the economy. People aren't just getting on planes to go on vacation. They're getting on planes to go to work. They're getting on planes because they have business to do. There's a lot of reason for travel. It's not a luxury for a lot of people. It's the way they conduct their life.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And when we were kids, not as many people used air travel as we do today. Now it's commonplace. We really applaud anything that can be done to prevent these government shutdowns. But let's talk about the fact that there's a discussion about moving this to a privatized system.
There's benefits to that, but I see for profit. That's what worries me. The FAA is responsible for safety and efficiency of the national airspace system, which requires a unified federal approach. They're also holding people accountable for uniform standards. They're air traffic control management. They certify aircrafts. They ensure public safety. And it does require a coordinated national system because when you're flying, you're going over state lines constantly.
And the regulation came about, sadly, because of 9/11, because we recognized that we were ill-equipped. So this TSA system is only, 24 years old. And it's had many adjustments made. In 2004, they allowed some private companies to come in and assist with the screening processes, like Clear, because it is such a cumbersome process and because they continue to change some of the rules. We used to have to take off our shoes in certain airports. And you'll recognize that there are different ways that they do things. Jacksonville, which is a smaller airport, I'll call it regional, they don't even want to see my boarding pass when I go through TSA. All they do is zip my license in. It reads my license. It associates it with my reservation, and I'm good to go. Now, why that doesn't happen everywhere, I don't know the answer to that. But we recognize there's a bunch of different ways that each individual airport handles their TSA.
Well, I'm sure that Jacksonville gets a much smaller number versus Newark, LaGuardia, or Kennedy. It's enjoyable to fly in. It's the same as Sarasota. But they also don't have Clear, and they don't have certain ways to expedite your travel experience, but it's all catching up. A lot of it is profit motivated. And I think the reason that we're not 100% behind it becoming privatized is you don't want corners to be cut because somebody's putting money in the bank. That's where you start wondering if safety is going to be compromised, because anytime somebody can monetize the back end, corners are cut because people are greedy. So I'm scared of it becoming privatized in that regard. And I also don't think that they need to have control. We have so many people that have too much control in this country because they're billionaires. And if you get people privatizing airline travel, I have a feeling it's going to be those billionaire names.
Of course.
And then the conglomerate of everything, we're going to be ruled by the people that have the dollars.
It already feels that way. And I appreciate the fact that, some of these networks you can opt into, which if you don't know what the known traveler number is, if you don't have a KTN, then you probably haven't applied for global entry or TSA Pre or any of those expedited travel things. Number one, you have to be educated. And number two, you have to have the time and the resources to execute it. So having a known traveler number is really important.
It's your KTN. You'll see it if you have it. You'll know what it is. But sometimes when you're on an app and you're creating your travel schedule, it'll say known travel number for you to import. And Jen put something on my radar today. I fly United because we're a United hub, and I have TSA not global. I just regular TSA pre. I also have clear. I did not realize that my KTN number follows me. So if I were to go book a flight on Delta or American, I can take my KTN number and I still have the same TSA pre experience, even though I'm not a frequent flyer of any other airline beyond United.
Your known traveler number is separate from your account that you have with any associated airline. So Farley and I use United Mileage Plus, and you get benefits every time you fly. You can use miles for upgrades and other things. That has nothing to do with your known traveler number.
Right.
Your known traveler number identifies you throughout the TSA system so that I automatically get TSA pre regardless of the airline I fly. United automatically does that. If I go to another airline, I have to input that. So that's a number that you're going to want accessible anytime you book. You need to make sure you have that TSA pre-check mark on your boarding pass. Otherwise, once you get to the airport, it is a nightmare to try and add.
To become a TSA PreCheck, it's $85 roughly for 5 years, which is a pretty nominal fee to expedite yourself. It's expedited security screening. It's a program run by the U.S. Transportation Security Administration that allows you to pass through the airport more efficiently and quickly. It requires an online application, an in-person appointment. So you have to schedule it, and you do have to get fingerprinted and come with like official documents or 5 points of identification, a birth certificate, your driver's license, things of that nature. Especially with COVID and the shutdowns, it's a peace of mind. And Jen opted to do the global version of this, which automatically gives her TSA pre. So she's going to share her experience. And if you haven't done it, I would go in that direction because it's a no-brainer. And also make sure from a credit card standpoint, there's so many credit card benefits that we might not be aware of, where if you use your credit card to pay for these, they will refund you the application fees or the amount that it is. And there's certain credit cards, like I'm just going to give you a few, Marriott Bonvoy, United Mileage Plus, Platinum Amex, and Capital One Venture. Those are just examples of the credit cards that are going to give you your feedback.
Yeah. And if you go to tsa.gov, there's a full list of every credit card. There's many more than that list Farley gave. You can check to see what your benefits are. I think the mileage cards are more likely to have that benefit because they understand frequent flyers are utilizing the cards and they want the benefits and perks, and that makes everything easier, just like Global Entry does. So Global Entry is an enhanced service. If you're somebody who travels internationally, it's a better option for you. So if you're coming back into the country, what this does is it expedites your entry back into the United States. And you do not have to be a U.S. citizen, I learned. It's Global Entry costs $100 for 5 years. Same thing. You need to go and apply and get fingerprinted and background check and all this stuff. What they're doing is they're looking into your history. You're giving them permission to look into your criminal records, your background, what organizations you're affiliated with. And I believe it also allows them to look at social media accounts. It allows them to do a full and extensive check as to exactly who you are because you're a known, trusted traveler. So that is something to think about. And I always laugh because the people that apply for these programs are not the people that we're worried about. The people that we're worried about are not doing Global Entry or TSA pre.
That maybe they red flags the normal person on some level a bit more. I also signed up for Clear, and Clear is $209 a year. And each additional person that you add in your family that's over the age of 18 is $125. We kind of did things backwards. We did Clear first because we thought Clear was going to be the end all be all because it relies on your eye scan.
You probably did Clear because you can sign up for Clear right when you walk into the airport. So if you walk into
it's very easy.
If you walk into the airport and the regular line sucks, which is probably what happened to you guys.
And you don't have to get fingerprinted.
You can just be like, I'll take Clear. Here's my money. So that's something for those of you that are traveling in the next couple of weeks. It does take several weeks to get TSA pre or Global Entry. You can walk up and just get Clear right away.
Well, they say to
59
do Clear,
airports though. 59 airports.
They say to do Clear online. Like when you're waiting in line, go to the Clear website and start the process. And a lot of times you get approved instantaneously. And we just read that you also get TSA pre now. They must have a fingerprinting system where they do the retinal scan. And they can expedite things. It is a little more expensive and it is a yearly fee. It's not $209 for 5 years. But if you want automatic instant gratification, that's the way to go. And there are lines in a lot of airports that are TSA pre and clear that move even a little bit faster. My husband and I, when we travel, we'll look at the lines and we'll both go in separate ones. He'll go TSA pre because he thinks it's faster because everything's always a race with us.
Of course.
And I'll go over to clear or TSA clear plus, and we'll try to figure out, which line is expediting. Clear get to cut the TSA pre. So if they have 6 people ready to show their credentials, they get to butt the TSA pre people. In one of our races, I got to butt my husband, but then he was with me, so it all worked out. It depends on how psychotic you are and how inconvenience might make you lose your marbles. It's pay to play, and you'll figure out the systems. We're going to do global.
If you sign up for global entry,
yeah.
that means you have TSA. TSA is predominantly domestic. If you're somebody who never goes out of the country, then you don't have to worry about global entry. Global entry is only for re-entry into the U.S. And if you've ever re-entered into the U.S. on one of those huge flights, and there's a line of 9 million people and it moves,
you
with
get
like
to go
4
right
people,
to the front.
It basically does a retinal scan and you walk right through.
For $15 more, you get both. It's a no-brainer. I wish I would have done that.
My friend who was an air marshal at one point said that there have been discussions, whether this is fact or fiction, that they're going to be doing away with some of these global entry type programs, making them more challenging to get. So if it piques your interest, if get into the system, if you're not a criminal, which I hopefully you're not, then you're not worried about giving all of your information, and you can have an easier flight progress, because as of 11/9 of this year, 2,631,038 people went through the TSA program. That's insane. If you're thinking about the number and the volume of people moving through our country at any one given time.
And don't forget about the real ID. If you haven't done that yet, we did it very easily with a auxiliary mobile home unit out in front of the DMV, and they come to your communities. Make sure that you go online and you see when you can schedule these for your kids that are in college. My kids do not have real IDs, which means they're flying around with their passports, which is a recipe for disaster because they can lose them. The real ID make time because it is mandatory now to travel with.
When I flew to Florida recently, I misplaced my driver's license coming home, and I had my global entry card, and they took that as a real ID.
Wow.
I did Google that, and I think that's subject to TSA approval, like whether or not they want to accept it or not. From what I read, it is not an approved real ID. But another thing that you could do if you're someone who has a passport that needs renewal, did this for Nathan, because when you're young, you have to have it done every 5 years. In addition to getting your passport, get a passport card. It's $15 extra. And that allows you any transit through Mexico and Canada via land without a passport. It's not valid for air travel out of the country, but it is valid for international travel via land. And it's nice for anyone who has an underage child who's traveling, for them to have their own ID for a variety of reasons in this day and age. I like the fact that Nate has an ID that he can walk around with because he does not yet have a license. And a school ID, at least our school IDs, basically just say the school and the student photo. They don't really give any birth date or credentialing information. So that's just another little tip. The best times to fly, take that first flight out if you're getting on, because there's less lag of issues,
less mechanical problems. You're not number 96 for takeoff, which I have experienced recently. Thankfully, this past week was very easy travel for me. But 2 weeks ago, I went down to see my dad. I sat on the tarmac for 2 hours, and then we were number 33 to take off. So it was a 2-hour, 45-minute delay. I have been inconvenienced by it. And I was looking yesterday at some of the statistics, and 40 airports reduced flights, and there were 10,000 delays and cancellations. So do the math on that. It's a cascading effect. If you are having to rebook, it becomes like a snowball effect, and it's like playing Tetris. It's a cluster, FUCK.
And the people that are really good at this, and a lot of the business travelers, look ahead at flights when there's multiple. Let's say if you're running a flight that goes constantly, let's say Newark to Miami, that is running all the time. a lot of the very astute travelers will look at flights and look at things that are not heavily booked and know that that has a high chance of cancellation, especially in these heightened times.
And it's the smaller flights, like the commuter planes that accommodate 50 to 70 people. That's a very easy box for them to check and say, hey, let's cancel that.
Correct. But when they do cancel, you are entitled to full reimbursement. Don't be the one who is trigger happy to cancel because you think they're going to cancel. If they cancel on you, you're entitled to a lot of things. And
ask questions, whether it's going to be a flight credit or is it going to be a certificate?
Yes. And they make it challenging on purpose.
One thing that I did, which I think is great advice, is anytime I canceled a flight or was expecting a refund, a flight credit, a certificate, I started a note in my phone. And I would always put my record locator and the value of the ticket so that I could call back and reference the exact flight that was canceled. Sometimes if you go one way and you don't make the return because of a cancellation, they take the flight and break it into two parts and two different costs. It's if you spend $800 on a ticket, you don't get $400 going and $400 coming back. It's whatever the cost to fly one way is. And then you get the return value. So I just spent $900 to go down to Tampa on the fly. It was $680 to go to Tampa if you broke it up into one segment going and a segment coming back. I wanted to fly home on Sarasota, out of Sarasota, which is much closer to me, and I only got a credit for that portion of the flight for $180. It is a racket, but the more you know, the more questions that you can ask and the more that you can, advocate for yourself when you're talking to somebody.
Absolutely.
We are so annoyed with this government shutdown and the furloughing that's happening. We truly believe that the people at the top of the food chain should be affected. They should not be getting paid.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know this, our senators and congressmen are still getting paid at 100%. When these government shutdowns happen that affect the regular people, they should as equally impact the people at the top that are causing the shutdowns. We all need to get involved in our local politics and make sure that this is something that gets remedied. Now this government is complex with so many nuances that affect so many people that they are not ones that should not be and feel the pain.
Yeah, the top of the food chain definitely needs to feel the pain and be uncomfortable. And don't think that this government shutdown didn't come at an opportune time with 2 holidays piggybacked very soon. They did this with absolute intention, and holding your breath until they get their way is unacceptable. They knew exactly what they were doing, and they were motivated by the fact that people were going to be inconvenienced and were going into a holiday state of mind across the U.S. Don't think it was coincidence.
No, it's not. It's never coincidence, and neither is what we want to talk to you about. So we hope that you'll get involved in this conversation about travel and TSA and be a little bit more educated on how you travel, where you travel, what you travel, and being a good steward of the skies. So.
Exactly. And that brings us to our Got Brit Award winner of the week, Christopher Scott Kyle. He was the U.S. Navy SEAL deadliest sniper with 160 kills to his name. He has sniped the most people in American history as far as snipers are concerned. The reason we're highlighting him is not only was he a war hero, but he came and saw that people were going through PTSD. If you haven't seen the movie The American Sniper with Bradley Cooper,
which I have not,
it is a fantastic movie. His marriage was in jeopardy. He was going to re-enlist. He gave 10 years of his service. He went to Iraq twice, 4 years each time. He came back to give back and actually was killed while he was serving somebody that had PTSD. A vet killed him. So what we want to say is mental health issues are real. Look at these vets. Watch some of these movies so that you understand for 2 seconds, even though you can't transform your body into actual combat, recognize what they have seen and what they can't unsee and why they could live with these struggles. It's real. And unfortunately, Christopher Kyle is a living example that's no longer living of the anguish that these people go through. So Christopher Kyle and his family and his platoon and everybody else, they're all our Got Grit Award winners this week. I compel you to watch the movie so that you can kind of understand what it means to give back after you've already served tirelessly.
Every day is a good day to thank someone who has served this country in any form or fashion, whether that's in the military, MS, police, fire. We always want to thank our people who are there for us in challenging times, that are gritty, that are real, and that are always giving of themselves first and foremost. So,
and now we have a song. To tell you the truth, this is a song that I needed to get me through this past week. And I think that this is for anybody that's suffering, for anybody that just needs a little help. If you're feeling desperate, I think that music can really help you over the hump. And that brings us to the song that I selected. I'm at the end of myself and I'm tired. I've tried all that I know to do. Right now, it's just by a thread, but I'm hanging on to you. I'm running out of hope. I need a miracle. And if I ever needed you, it's right now. Oh God, I'm desperate. Down on my knees, send help from heaven. This song is so beautiful, and it's called Desperate. And it's by Jamie McDonald and Lauren Daigle. Her voice is like an angel from God. Both of this collaboration is powerful. If you need help, if you need to feel like you're not alone, please listen to this song. Listen to it over and over again. It will help you, and you will recognize that you are not alone.
You are never alone.
Never alone.
We are always together. We are always appreciative of you sharing your precious time with us. We appreciate you, and please thank you for tuning in. Share this with somebody you love. Be with somebody you love today, and just have gratitude for this life that we're given.
Always. Always. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Girls Gone Gritty.
You can check us out on Instagram and Facebook.
If this episode hits home, share it with someone who needs to get gritty.
3 Gs. We'll see you next week.
Peace out.